cookies and such.
Yeah, that might have been it.
CJ just getting here. You know the phrase, if you're early on time, if you're on time, you're late, is sort of like, is what I want to present to CJ, just rolling up at 11 o'clock exactly.
Yeah, my coffee was taking its time brewing, so I was very quickly emptying the pod and filling the water. And
Your coffee was taking its time. Sounds like you were taking your time.
well, I can't control how fast it brews.
True.
But it's made. I'm here.
My coffee maker's doing this thing where it only sometimes allows me to like press start, and I have to like schedule it for like 3 minutes in the future.
Oh, really?
So that it starts working again. But then sometimes it'll be like, oh, for a month, it'll like, it worked for last month, and now it's back to this morning. I was like, okay, so what time is it now? Starts working 3 minutes from now.
So you guys are using regular coffee makers and not a Keurig or of some sort?
Regular, yeah.
Good.
I'm using a Mr. Coffee pour over.
Okay.
But I might dive into the world of coffee making at some point. Like,
You gotta reach out to
deeper into it.
Amos.
Grind your beans. It's fun.
Amos is a big fucking coffee guy.
Make a loud
Annoying
sound.
coffee guy.
Yeah,
Wake anybody nearby. I feel like you're really doing something.
I really enjoyed his cover of Linger.
Yeah, it was cool. It popped up. I was like, what the fuck is this? He doesn't usually do that. He's not usually a cover for no reason guy. But.
It's pretty good. And whoever said hi to me on the Schuylkill River Trail yesterday.
Whoa.
If you're here, hello.
Somebody.
CJ getting recognized so much.
Stalker
Didn't
CJ.
Really like it.
Didn't have time to have a conversation because we were running in opposite directions, but it's nice to.
Were you wearing
Nice
a
to see
Ricky anything?
No.
Unbelievable.
Wow. All our work going toward
Incredibly
his fame.
recognizable.
Yeah. reaping all the benefits of your
Yeah,
your
more
hard
than 10 years of Ricky podcast just grinding away. Meanwhile, this guy is reaping all of the benefits in Philadelphia.
Fantastic.
Unbelievable.
I have heard good things about the AeroPress as well. Good for camping as well. Very lightweight, portable. You guys heard anything about the AeroPress?
No, I'm telling you, you got to ask Amos. He's a coffee snob.
We'll do.
Yeah. There we go. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS, and brought to you by Big Barker Therapeutic Dog Beds. Get yours at bigbarker.com/Ricky. Body Bio. Get 20% off anything from bodybio.com with promo code Mike's Tummy. LL Pavorsky Jewelers, where Rights to Ricky Sanchez listeners go and get engaged. And Stateside Urban Craft Vodka, the official sponsor of the Corner 3 newsletter with Zoe. Subscribe at rightstoRickySanchez.com/newsletter. On the show today, Sixers lose Philly guy Marcus Morris, but gain Philly guy Kyle Lowry to replace that spot in the lineup. We'll find out if he is going to get the key to the city. Even bigger news, the Rights to Ricky Council, the fourth, arrives in a big win, a necessary win, potentially a podcast-saving win over the Washington Wizards. We get our first taste of Buddy Hield and campaign, and a potentially controversial relationship advice. Mentioned Stateside Urban Craft Vodka. I brought this glass to the pod today. Now, I'm not drinking. I don't drink in the morning, but it is empty, and it was from downstairs. And I will drink the Stateside vodka straight like a lunatic. No ice, no mixer, no anything. Love it. Had a little too much of it last night. Had a little bit of trouble waking up this morning. My first time consuming enough alcohol to do that in a long time, but I enjoyed every single bit of it. So I like the regular Stateside vodka, but of course, Surfside iced tea and vodka is the star of the show. The best canned alcoholic beverage on earth. Surfside iced tea and vodka tastes better than anything in its class. Only 100 calories, only a few grams of sugar, and no bubbles, because iced tea does not have carbonation. Make sure you go to statesidevodka.com, try a combo pack there, variety pack. That way you can try the peach tea, the lemonade, the iced tea and vodka, all of it. You got to be 21. Statesidevodka.com. Without any further ado, Amos and the chef.
were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Welcome to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy who personally will go to Marcus Morris, get the key to the city back, just so he can give it to Kyle Lowry. That is one Mike Levin.
Sorry, buddy. We need that key back.
There is only one key to the city.
I don't want to have just so many duplicates lying around.
Yep. Do you know, Kyle Lowry did get the key to the city in Toronto, and I wonder if you are able to have keys to two different cities, and if so, if he'd be willing to give the key to Toronto back so he could get the key to Philadelphia.
I think that's fun. I think that would be a fun like wrestling promo sort of thing. He just sort of like breaks it in half or sets it on fire or something like that.
Yep.
That'd be fun.
Do you want to do the Wizards game first or Kyle Lowry first?
Let's do Kyle Lowry.
I think so. You know, CJ, if you could play that hype video from his agency without the sound, just as we talk about Kyle Lowry, I feel like it would be a nice effect. We can't play the song. We can't play the audio because it's the Puff Daddy song "Coming Home," which is nice. But Kyle Lowry, obviously very excited to be coming back to Philadelphia. I would say, if not one of the three most rumored Sixers of the Process era who had not become Sixers or eventually became Sixers, would you say Kyle Lowry is up there, right?
He's up there. I mean, so is Buddy Hield, I think.
Yes, Buddy Hield is up there. I think the Kyle Lowry stuff maybe started in 18 or 19. I mean, there was talk about trading Maxey for him at one point when Toronto was going to trade him. So he is 30. It was bought out by the Hornets, ended up on the Hornets when the Heat traded for Terry Rozier. He is 37 years old, was mostly starting for the Heat. Of the 37 games he played, he started 35 of them, was averaging 8, 4, and 3. 42% from the field this year, 38% from 3, 4.5 attempts a game. So obviously on the back nine, maybe the back three is not, you can see it when you watch him. He is not like he was ever particularly quick, but I
mean, at Nova, he was very quick.
Oh, well, I would say in the last 5, 6, 7 years, I don't remember him as being particularly quick. It even more so now, but he did play well in the playoffs to the Heat last year, if I remember. So I guess my question to you is this, do you think the Sixers are in better shape with Kyle Lowry and Payne over simply Patrick Beverly?
I do. I think I trust Lowry's willingness to pull from three off the catch and sometimes from deeper and just sort of make the right simple, easy play. Like I think his basketball IQ is very high. And, you're seeing it. We've talked about this before, but like this is the best team that they have around Embiid.
Yep.
And that also means that they don't have a team that can really sustain itself without Embiid there. And so in the world of like, let's make everything make sense around Joel, I think that Lowry makes more sense than Pat Bev does. Pat played great. Like there's nothing against Pat. He was really excellent on offense and carried them in second unit stuff more than he probably should have had to. I think it
was better than either you or I had ever expected he would be offensively. When given the opportunity, he was more aggressive, more talented in that way than I think we expected.
Yeah, he made plays. He made a lot of stuff happen, and whether or not the Sixers believed that would continue, you sort of saw it over the last week or two. The sort of the drive, pivot, hook shot was starting to be scouted, and I don't think that was going to keep fooling people on that. But yeah, I think Lowry, just as far as a ball mover, as a guy who makes the right play, as sort of at this point in his career, a like point guard Nick Batum style player, like his usage has gone down every year for the last 5 years. Like he's on the back two at this point for sure. He's 37 years old, but he's still like gonna make a play for you. And I think that not that Pat wouldn't. They got a second round pick for Pat when they signed him for the minimum. I think that was the impetus of it, and the fact that him and Lowry are comparable. They decided, well, we're gonna get Lowry. We may as well move Pat for the second round pick, so he's not like pissed off if we take his minutes and stuff. So I think that ultimately that is a win. I was worried that counting on the buyout market, which we have been told to do before, and it has not worked.
No, not consistently, I would say.
Would make it dicey to count on it, but Charlotte bought him out. Here he is. He's excited to be here. It's gonna be cool. It's gonna be cool, man. Like, it's Kyle Lowry. He's Nova. He was on like not just any Nova team, like an iconic Nova team. That's like a very, very cool Alan Ray, Randy Foy, Mike Nardi. They didn't, win as much as the Nova teams of the more recent times, but like he's been around a long time. He's done a lot of cool shit. He was iconic for the Raptors. It's cool that he's here. I'm being romantic about it. I like that he's in a backup capacity. He is not someone that should be counted on for any like long stretch of time, but he's gonna in like limited minutes, 15 or so minutes a game, he's gonna defend his ass off. He's gonna run around. He's gonna make some plays. He's gonna take some charges. He'll shoot off the catch. It's gonna be cool to see him and Embiid out there together, and like maybe occasionally him and Maxey sharing a backcourt together or something. It's fun. This is fun. It's gonna be good.
Yeah, to my eye, he is pretty toasty. When I think I've probably watched 3 or 4 Heat games this year. And he's been hurt a lot over the last several seasons.
For sure.
I'm fine with it. If you ask me, who would I trust for 10 minutes in a playoff game or 12 minutes in a playoff game more, a mostly toasty cooked Kyle Lowry or impressing us more than he should Patrick Beverly, I think I would still take Lowry given his playoff history. In a big shot, in a big moment, I think I would still probably take Lowry, even though to my eye, Patrick Beverly seems like he has a little bit more left than Lowry does. You had mentioned him and Maxey sharing the court. Maybe this is crazy, but I actually see that like entirely possible, freeing up Maxey to be a little more of the off ball. He's been really good this year as the primary ball handler, but having Harden last year did present opportunities for Maxey to simply focus on scoring alone, run around screens a little bit more. I think if it had been 2 years ago, you could have started Maxey and Lowry at the same time, actually. I think you could play them together pretty easily, and having a real secondary ball handler in there, a little bit more real than Patrick Beverly in terms of point guard type stuff. I don't know. I think we'll see that a good bit.
Yeah, I think they're definitely going to try it out for sure, especially while they're waiting for Melton to come back. Lowry and Buddy Hield make a lot of sense together. Obviously Nick Nurse being the coach here and Lowry having played for him is a factor. Yeah, I think it's going to be really cool. I think it's going to be, it is if you looked at their guard rotation earlier this season and then looked at it now, it just makes a lot more sense. Like Maxey, Melton, Lowry, Hield, there's defense, there's off-ball shooting, there's movement, there's guys who can dribble. It just feels like it fits a lot more, and you can mix and match those guys in a way that you can feel that you're covered in a bunch of different areas. Mm-hmm. More than they had before. So I was worried about counting on the buyout market. I'm glad he's here. Payne has played fine over the last couple games, like especially while they're waiting for guys to come back. It's not bad to have him just on the bench. He'll play a little bit more over the next couple weeks still probably. But it's just there's a dangerous level of competence and ability to dribble that most Sixers teams of this podcast era have not had. So
I want to talk later. We'll talk later just about revisiting the trade deadline and sort of where we see the roster in terms of, if you had blindfolded us and said this is what it was, how happy we'd be. We'll talk about that later. Before we get to the win over the Wizards, we have talked about Pat Bev, who I do miss already. I do miss that the Belts to Asses tour is now in Milwaukee.
He should have to make a different
it's his.
It's his thing.
I was
thought it
just so fucking jealous seeing him on the press conference dais with the beer, as he does here, always has a Miller Lite. And then this clip, if you do not love Pat Bev already, him taking the reins from Doc Rivers and coaching the team. CJ, play this. It is outrageous.
It's so funny. He got there that day. He got there that day. He's lecturing Brooke Lopez, and he's taking the clipboard from Doc. It's really very funny.
Now, okay. Can I do a Galaxy Brain Doc, Patrick Beverly thing? We did. There was that quote that you brought up last time that Doc did say at one point, if the Sixers had Patrick Beverly and his toughness, that they could have, won the championship. I forget what the
then Doc would have won 18 championships.
Yeah. Is this him saying that the Bucks are not tough enough by acquiring Beverly? By basically, there's no way the Bucks trade a second-round pick for Patrick Beverly without Doc Rivers there. I don't think.
I agree.
I wonder if it's a statement about what he thinks of he's obviously been blaming a lot of things other than himself for the slow start in Milwaukee, but
I think they got rid of Drew. Dame has never been known for his defense, and it's gotten worse. So I think this is just a level of let's bring in some guard defense, and also Doc's just not going to play veterans or rookies. He's not going to do it. He is not going to do it. Andre Jackson Jr. is a tremendous defender and would be really, really good sliding his feet alongside Dame. But Doc isn't going to trust him. There's no way he's going to let him work through that stuff. And so he's got to bring in somebody that Doc recognizes from the mid-2000s. There's no one. He's not going to trust it. If you didn't use dial-up internet in your life, Doc's not going to play you.
Well, Doc would play me. I did use dial-up internet.
You'd be out there, man.
I struggled through it.
He'd be playing you 38 minutes a night.
My favorite, and then we'll get to the next thing. Of all of my dial-up internet memories, my sophomore year at Syracuse University, they put me in with, I transferred. My freshman year, I went to USC, and then I transferred to Syracuse. I had 3 guys that I was rooming with in campus housing that I did not know. My roommate was a guy named Daryl. Now this was, you would get the AOL CD and get 30 free hours time of dial-up internet. When he got it, stayed up. I remember going to sleep. He was my roommate. Waking up the next morning, he was still standing in front of his computer, spending all night downloading one 12-second porn clip.
Porn clip. Amazing. And wouldn't his name be Daryl? Isn't it perfect that his name is Daryl?
He was valedictorian of his high school, but then got to college, and all of a sudden Daryl was just weed and downloading pornography.
12-second porn clips. That's all you need.
He was gone the next
year. You don't need longer than that.
The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is brought to you by Big Barker Therapeutic Dog Beds. We love Big Barker. We have another dog in the house this weekend. CJ, if you could put up we are fostering. So my wife works at a shelter here in Jersey. She works at St. Hubert's, and she has asked if we could foster dogs occasionally on the weekend. So this, if you're watching, this is Kirby. Kirby is a very good boy. He's 2 years old. He was a rescue from Louisiana. He's staying with us this weekend. Rebel likes him immediately. Rebel doesn't like any dogs. But even though my wife promised me Kirby would sleep in a crate downstairs, Kirby slept in the bedroom last night. We brought in the other Big Barker. This is Kirby on the Big Barker, slept on it immediately, slept on it all night. There was one moment around 3:30 a.m. where Kirby and Rebel forgot they were in the same room and started barking at each other. But aside from that, it was a very restful night of sleep. But I was amazed. Kirby walked right over to the Big Barker, put his bone on it, and slept on it. Big Barker is the best dog bed available. If you have a dog and you love your dog, it is important that your dog stay healthy, and the bed that your dog sleeps on is an important part of that. Go to bigbarker.com/Ricky. That is bigbarker.com/Ricky. There you can see and learn about the Big Barker, but you also, if you go to that link, you get the Process Pup patches. You can iron it on your Big Barker there. I think one thing that I don't talk about a lot is how nice the Big Barker looks in a room. It's like this very nice felt looking cover that comes in all different colors. What's that?
Elegant.
It is. It looks nice. It looks like a piece of furniture. And because it is, a mattress is a piece of furniture. All different colors, all different shapes, all different sizes. But one important thing is that it supports your dog's joints in a way that other dog beds do not. is super important. You think about if you slept on a bad bed one night, just one night, you would feel terrible the next morning. You sleep in an Airbnb with a shitty mattress, you feel horrible. That's why it's important that your dog has a good mattress, because your dog sleeps so much and is sleeping on it every night. Big Barker, engineered by experts to support your dog's joints, to help fight off those symptoms of arthritis as they get older that we have to deal with as people and they have to deal with as dogs. If you love your dog, you're going to get your dog a Big Barker. It's got a 10-year warranty. The foam doesn't flatten or they replace it for free. A 1-year at-home trial. If your dog doesn't like it, Kirby loved it right away. If your dog doesn't like it, if you don't like it, they will give you a full refund and even pay for the shipping. Handmade in the USA. Big Barker dog beds. So after the Sixers lose to, the Hawks.
Yeah.
In Buddy Hield and campaign, both get to the Sixers and in true process form start the day that they get there. In a very, very, very ugly game, a sickening game, losing to the Wizards, who statistically are not the worst team in the NBA, but to my eyes are the worst team I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
In terms of vibes, in terms of play, losing to the Wizards would have been really tough.
Would have been inexcusable.
Yeah. Like they're just the worst mix of things I think I've ever seen. So anyway, it was nice to get a win. But most importantly, I would say the number one thing is the breakout 19 points for Ricky Council IV. Important to note, the Ricky Council II and Ricky Council III are Ricky Council's brothers.
That's right.
The original Ricky Council is just his dad. But just sort of like athletic bully ball to the hoop in a way that I don't even think I had seen in Ricky Council's other minutes, in preseason or whenever I've seen him. I guess I just haven't seen him enough, but God, just a vibe that the Sixers need, that sort of like refusal to be stopped going to the hoop was pretty awesome to watch.
Yeah, I mean the big thing with Ricky is that he has the NBA body and athleticism.
For sure.
And he's like 6'6", 200 something. And he has the problem with his game was that he just has a really funky looking shot that wasn't going to extend outside of three. And he has changed his shot since getting to the Sixers, and it looks a lot quicker. It looks a lot more confident in it. He took a three and missed it in this game, but he has like interestingly good touch. Like there was a lot of physical drives to the rim, a couple impressive finishes. He's always been like a weirdly good finisher off the glass, which he does at Arkansas as well. Even like straight on off the glass. Had a really nice baseline drive where he drew contact and then sort of adjusted his body to then bank it in. It was just a level of relentlessness plus the athleticism and strength. He got blocked by Kuzma one time but stayed after it and then finished through him. He just missed a putback dunk, which I would have loved. He just missed a 35-foot lob from Maxey, which I also would have loved. It was a poorly
thrown lob by Maxey, I think. That was on Maxey. Yeah.
A little high. He had that big rebound off of the Maxey miss where he just like out-efforted them. Had a really aggressive steal. The sort of like extra hustle possession, steal your possession stuff that I was going to miss with Springer. Like he kind of got that for them. Had a nice transition dunk where he kept a guy in jail behind him.
Yeah.
And he's always had a really, he said this, I think, after the Hawks game. He's always had a good knack for drawing fouls. And he got to the line 8 times, which is a lot for anybody, but especially an undrafted free agent.
In what, 20 minutes? Did he play 20 minutes?
29.
Like yeah. Oh,
and wow. And he was in a finishing lineup. Like, good for Nick Nurse playing him. There's no chance Doc would ever play an undrafted free agent in a finishing lineup. He deserved it. I really, really loved this. This was excellent. I thought he looked solid and relatively aware on the defensive end. Also, there's going to be gaffes here and there, but this is the kind of thing where you're like, there's available minutes. You are an athletic NBA-sized man. Take it. Take those minutes. Grab that shit. And this isn't gonna, he's not gonna enter the playoff rotation all of a sudden. Like he's got to keep working on his three. But this is the sort of like you belong type game that should result in, like, unless there's cap ramifications or something like that, like Darryl should be just signing him to a regular contract right now. There's 2 open roster spots.
Maybe the Shake contract where it's a 4-year deal, every year's unguaranteed. Like, you know.
Absolutely. Hinkie special, bring him in, do it. Like, he looked good. He belongs. Guys are injured. He's playing his ass off. I like how pumped up he was. And just keep working on, and sometimes it be sent down to Delaware or whatever, but keep working on that jump shot. But he's, there's no reason why he can't keep developing and growing as he has. It was an awesome game. Awesome Ricky Council game. Awesome that he is, I guess, the official player of this podcast.
He has to be.
The first Ricky, and I mean, they drafted Ricky Lito, if you remember, back in 2014, I think, but never, maybe 2013. But they didn't stay. They traded him to the Bucks pretty immediately. So this is the first playable Ricky.
Well,
and now he's here.
Like Ricky Council sounds like a bit like having the Ricky Council.
The Ricky Council. Well, there was the Reach It Armageddon Congress.
Yes.
So this could have called it the Council.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, and it's perfect that he's an undrafted free agent and a two-way guy that I'm begging for more minutes to now. There couldn't be a more Ricky player.
Physically, he actually reminds me of Jonathan Kuminga a little bit, just in terms of his build and his NBA readiness or whatever. But I think the thing that he brought is, and this is a little bit of slander because I think it's deserved, because I wanted to talk about him a little bit, but he's not a center, but he is bringing the energy. He brought the energy that Paul Reed brought so consistently last year that I feel like we've been missing a little bit this year as his game has changed and expanded. But that sort of relentlessness on offensive rebounds and chasing your own shot and going up sort of, not carelessly, but like without a worry, in case you get fouled, I think is something that the team needs that actually, even at their healthiest, they do not have. There isn't really a player on their team that does that very much. Honestly, the closest that you would get is maybe like Oubre, does that sometimes. So, it was really cool to watch. I thought I really enjoyed watching him. The thing about Paul, one thing I noticed last night, and I think he's played fine mostly the last couple of games and has a weird sort of up and down season, is he's not even setting screens well anymore. Like he's slipping them really quickly. He's not even setting them anymore. And I think he was so intimidated by Harden to do the right thing all the time, because Harden would get pissed off when he didn't and Doc would bench him when he didn't, that it just, I want him to be able to do more. I love when the little jumper goes down, but I do miss that hard screen and roll over and over and over. He would set such good screens for the end of last year, and I just don't think we're seeing it very much this year. Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind, they were shorthanded. They were playing a lot of like KJ Martin at the 5 last night. I don't think Paul is ever going to be like a 30 plus minutes a game guy. Like he's like he played 22 last night, and I thought that was good. He finished 12 and 7, plus 6, shot 6 of 8 from the field. Like that's great. I mean, he had some of his like old sort of nifty finishes around the rim, an unnecessary reverse dunk, which he'll always give you. And it feels like the new guys don't know that you're not supposed to pass it to B-ball yet. You're not supposed to, like, if he's rolling to the rim, you're supposed to look at him and be like, just missed you. But he has gotten some good looks from them. I think Campaign maybe threw a lob to him, and it was like, no, that's not what we do here.
I know he looks like he'd be a good lob catcher, but believe it or not
the case. And I thought he had a couple nice good deflections and stuff. But yeah, I think it's just ultimately, between Bamba has not been he's had a couple moments this season, but he's just not good enough on the defensive end to hold up, and B-ball is really just an in spurts type of guy, and so they have to sort of like survive it. And I agree that I would love to see more just like relentlessness on the offensive glass, or just making plays happen and stuff. I think as B-ball has taken on more responsibility, he's maybe like stopped himself from some of that. But it was good to see it from Ricky. I would love to see, that sort of just energy guy with the body to hold up. I mean, there's a lot of season left and everybody's hurt, so keep going.
Yeah, and who knows when anybody's coming back.
Yeah, they said there's a chance that Melton and Batum could come back before the All-Star break, which would mean the next game or two. So
yeah.
Really, are we going to break, or you want me to talk about how bad Tobias was?
No. Well, what was next on your list? I had a
Tobias really
It's
bad.
just unacceptable.
So
just
bad.
the worst game I've ever seen.
It might have been the worst game he's ever played. It's so funny that it happened right after the trade deadline, where it's like, I'm here, I'm playing out the whole fucking contract.
Yep.
Elton paid my dad all the money that he asked for, and guess what? I'm playing it all. It's all coming to me.
He looked like COVID brain fried Tobias again. Just
it did look a little COVID brain fried. I didn't want to say it. I'm glad you did. Yeah, I mean, it feels
fucking horrible, man.
He was rough.
Yeah,
he was rough. Even like the turnovers were very out of character for him. Like he usually doesn't make enough like risky passes to even turn the ball over enough. He turned it off. He turned it over a lot. Yeah, he had been pretty great around the rim this season, especially early on. But he wasn't good. He's been shooting. I feel like he hasn't gotten any arc from deep in like 3 weeks. So he needs to come back. But there's also the thing where this is like the third time I've noticed this, and I haven't talked about it on the podcast yet. But somebody will shoot it, and he's like, "Okay, my responsibility is to get back on defense." And he'll take like one step back towards the defensive end, and then the rebound will bounce right to where he was standing. And all he has to do is then like sort of shift his weight to go like, "Oh, I'm gonna go get this ball." But he's like, I already took that other step. That step towards the other way. So somebody else get it. It's okay. I'm already there. So that was tough to watch. It was bleak last night. He'll bounce back. I'm not, there's good Tobias, bad Tobias. We go through the cycle, but last night was particularly upsetting.
How about this? In the last 4 games, he is 4 total games in which he's played 35 minutes, 29, 38, and 32.
Okay.
He is 3 of 8 for 3. That should be one game.
An offensive number.
That should be one game. He
Yeah.
shot 2 threes last night. He shot 1 3 against the Mavericks and 1 3 against the Warriors and 4 against the Hawks. Honestly, with how Maxey has looked, which has not been excellent, and how Tobias has looked in this run without Embiid, they should give Embiid the next 10 MVPs for making those two guys fucking as good as they are when they play.
Yeah, for sure.
How do you make 3 threes in 4 games and only shoot 8 of them? You're a sharpshooter. Tell a friend to tell a friend. I told all these friends to tell their friends, and now you're 3 and 4 games. Fucking unreal.
That's pretty rough. I do think Maxey was good last night. He had a couple rough starts and stops, but he got hot. It was really good to see his step back going in.
By the way,
yeah, and I thought he moved the ball well. He had 7 assists. He'd been like not really distributing as much as he had earlier in the season and all. Had a really nice like sweet little shuffle pass to B-ball in the dunker spot off of his drive, which I always love to see. Hit a nice mid-range jumper over Denny Avdia. He had a couple in between floaters that he kind of got the guys. Like I've talked about this before, but he's getting into I think his coaches were like, stop with the floaters, like see if you can get fouled. And then so he would like drive in and have to take so much contact like right at the rim because he's not rising up over anybody. Even though he can dunk, he's not dunking over anybody at his size. So he has to sort of like run into them and then like sort of hover in midair and then and float it in as he's going down. And that's cool that he can do that. Against some guys, he's just not going to be able to, and I think that floater is useful. And so seeing he can get to the rim, he can have like scoop finishes with either hand, which he did last night, which was crazy. The floaters need to go in, and then the occasional pull up, like just mixing it in so that defenders can't play just, oh, this is what he's going to do. I'm playing just for this. And I like that he was passing off of that too. I thought it was a really good balanced game from Maxey, and 9 defensive rebounds is worth bringing up. It's good to close out possessions like that. I thought he was overall really good last night after being sick and clearly not being 100%.
Yeah, and having to share the court with Tobias Harris, which is fucking. Can you believe he's here the whole fucking time?
All 5.
What a fucking insult.
There was a moment when, did you notice this? Tobias started posting up, and then Maxey was like out deep in the wing and started tying his shoe. Tobias is posting up. It's daddy touch time, and Maxey's like, may as well tie my shoe right here. Relace it a little bit.
That was another thing I had written down about Tobias, and you only see it when Embiid is not on the court. Have you ever seen Tobias pass out of a pick and roll where he is the ball handler? I've never seen him pass. He gets the screen and then he just keeps dribbling in the same spot as if I don't even think he knows how that play works. I think somebody needs to explain to him how that play works.
He had been passing. It's 7 assists in the Hawks game. He had been distributing better, and from that middle of the floor area. He's just not going to make. He's not going to make the tough ones. He's not throwing any lobs to B-ball anytime soon.
Dude, everyone on the team should tie their shoes when he has the ball. When the fans don't like what's going on, when the fans all organize to turn their back on the field or court or something. Yeah. That's what everyone should do when Tobias has the ball.
Yeah.
The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is brought to you by Body Bio. Oh, Body Bio. Body Bio is a supplement company that we love and believe in. They are local. They're family owned. They're family operated, but they have good shit. They know what they're talking about. There have been several products we've talked about recently over the years, actually, for Body Bio. Liposomal vitamin C, which is truly the best vitamin C supplement that you can take. Calm, which is something I take occasionally at night, sort of like naturally sort of take you down a notch or whatever. And then the two that we've talked about so much, Elite and Butyrate. Elite is just the perfect thing to stay perfectly hydrated. As I've gone through PT for my hip, I've had to do a lot of sort of like exercises with my legs, and my legs used to cramp up all the time. A lot of it is balancing on one foot, and that used to be a situation where I would get a cramp in one of the feet almost all the time. I had cramping problems. I started taking Elite, which is only electrolytes. Here it is. It comes in this clear bottle. It is straight up electrolytes. It does not have any artificial colors, any artificial flavors, no sugar. You just take a little bit of it, put in your drink in the morning and in the evening, and it keeps you hydrated perfectly. It's not
I drink it for basketball all the time.
Yeah, it actually works. It is so nice to have a product like this that actually does something. And it's not just about drinking water. You need to drink. You need to take electrolytes as well. And Elite is just like a perfectly natural, easy way to do it. It makes a huge difference. Clement from stateside actually started using it because when he would ski, he would get cramps in his feet. Now, I only skied once. It was a bad scene, but I imagine it's helpful for that too. Go to bodybio.com and use code Mike's Tummy for 20% off anything at Body Bio, not just first order, anything, anytime. Bodybio.com. Use code Mike's Tummy. You can read about all the products there. Really, really effective website in telling you the what and why of each one of their products. Once again, bodybio.com, promo code Mike's Tummy. So we got our first looks at Buddy Hield and Payne. Payne feels like a guy that, if I had to watch too much, would drive me insane.
Sure.
And we won't have to, but does have like a quicker, shoots like a 9-year-old, but does have
he turns his full body to the left. It's really the most extreme, like my feet are so not pointed at the basket whatsoever as he does it. And that's like partially why, you can't shoot like that and shoot like have pull-ups off the dribble. You have to like fully turn your body. But he's definitely willing to do it, and definitely can shoot it from distance and like well beyond the line. Hit was 4 of 9 from 3 in the Hawks game. He had a couple weird floaters for an homage to Pat Bev. He got some places with his dribble, which we kind of haven't seen much from the non-Maxey guards. There was one play where he had a really nice, demonstrated good composure in the Wizards game where the shot clock was winding down, and he drives and draws the defense, and usually guys would not pass in that situation, but he had enough like IQ and calm to kick it to relocating wide open Buddy Hield for 3, which he hit as the shot clock expired. He's just like a fine third point guard. If Maxey gets hurt, or if Lowry gets hurt, he'll be able to come in for a couple minutes, stabilize things, handle the ball a little bit, sometimes get to the rim. He's so skinny. He's really easily exploitable on the defensive end. I don't think that he should play in the playoffs, but like competent adult. He also, I don't know if you know this, do you know what college he went to, Payne? I
don't.
He went to Murray State.
Oh, wow.
He was a freshman the year after Isaiah Cannon left Murray State.
That's funny.
He took over the point guard spot from Cannon. So it's the two of them and Ja are as the Murray State point guards that have gone into the NBA. But yeah, he's not good. He's not as good as Pat. But I think he will help from distance more. and just be a competent 12th man on the roster or whatever.
Buddy Hield is a guy who I just want to see with Embiid, honestly. You know, he is certainly more competent. He's obviously a great shooter. We all know that.
Yeah.
He is certainly more competent otherwise offensively than the other shooter types the Sixers have had.
Yeah, JJ Seth, yeah.
Yeah, certainly more competent putting the ball on the floor, driving to the rim, had a couple of nice moments like that.
Bunch of finishes with his left, including the dagger high off the glass. That was nice.
He is a guy that it's been a while since we've had one of these guys that just the defense charges after when he's about to shoot from three. You know, we talked about that pressure he puts on the defense, but I just feel like we might see a game or two where he gets super hot and goes like 8 of 13 from three, but he is really a guy that I just want to see play with Embiid to see everything that he'll bring, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he is not a guy, even though he can score a little bit like off the dribble and stuff, he's just not fast enough off the dribble to get any separation beyond anybody. But he is a decently capable finisher for not so good of an athlete, kind of with either hand. But the shot really leverages everything else that he does. He needs the threat of the shot to allow the defense to be off balance so he can blow past him. I mean, he was 4 of 12 from 3 in the Hawks game and 4 of 9 from 3 in the Wizards game. He had 6 assists in both games. Like he had 4 steals in the Wizards game. Like I thought that he's been great in 2 games. Like not taking bad shots, which occasionally he has in the past. I would love for him to pull from even deeper beyond the arc, from that Brett Brown 4-point line, perhaps. He's been a little more hesitant from deep so far, but he's getting him off. He's a good shooter. Even his misses are like they rattle out. Like he is really an excellent, like all-world shooter. And defensively, like there's going to be so many off-ball miscues, but I think for the most part he stayed in front of his guy when they were on him, and they're going to finish over him because he's not that big. But I thought he was fine on that end. I've enjoyed the Buddy Hield experience so far. Another competent adult with an elite skill, which is always helpful to have that you can rely on. And I agree with you that it's really only a partial view of the whole thing until Embiid gets there and you see how hard it is to either double off him to Embiid or how much Embiid space has when Buddy is there because they're so afraid to leave him.
This will be the last time I say it on the pod because I don't want to repeat myself over and over again. I can't deal with starter minutes of Kelly Oubre. I do appreciate that he goes to the basket so often.
Yes.
He did have 4 assists, but not 5. He has not had 5
brutal.
assists this season.
Brutal.
No. And you said he would do it. You said he would do it 5 times?
He has so much time left still.
And he has done it how many times?
I think 0, but 4 is so close to 5.
Yeah. He either has no sense of the shot clock and where they are in the game, or he has a sense and he simply doesn't care and thinks that his decision is the best one. But
hot hand.
I can deal with him as a 15-minute a game guy. I cannot take 39 minutes of Kelly Oubre.
Sure. I mean, yeah, we shouldn't be playing 40 minutes in the Hawks game and 39 against the Wizards. That's too much. But he was 28 and 12 against the Hawks.
I don't care.
He's getting the line a ton.
12.
A ton of buckets off cuts, straight line drives, finishing so physically. He's attacking. He's really, not only is he dunking when he could dunk, he's dunking when he maybe shouldn't, and I love it. Go up strong. They're blocking the shit out of a lot of his dunks. He's finishing, so I love it, man. Yes, 39, 40 minutes, absolutely. But I am not leaving how much I enjoy the Kelly Oubre experience, even though the role that he is in right now on a team with many, many injuries is more than we should be depending on him. But I still overall like his fit on this team. I love how hard he goes at the rim. I love it. I will not stop.
He does have great dunks. He dunks like nobody since KJ McDaniels.
Yeah, I'm thrilled about it. I'm thrilled that it's happening because so often guys going up so soft, little like even Ben Simmons fucking going up like just like half hook as I'm fading away from the basket. Like fuck you, dunk the goddamn ball. Kelly does it. He had a nice on ball block, which is cool. I'm on board. And we didn't talk about KJ Martin, who I think is an interesting player.
It's the worst shooter of all time, might be.
He is the worst shooter of all time. It's just, if he could shoot like Grant Williams, like I would be obsessed with him. But he's so nothing. He's airballed so many threes. His like free throw shooting is so rough. He's got a good knack for junk inside. He played some 5. He's not really a rim protector, but I like the body and athleticism on like in some form. Maybe you put him next to like Miles Turner type player. He could just like be in the middle. He's a decent ball handler and like has nice like Euro step finishes, but
he's a process player.
He can't shoot at all. He's definitely a process type player. He really can't shoot at all. And the last thing we talked about Buddy, but we didn't mention on the last podcast, Buddy Hield being here, his skill set looking this good, once again shines a light on how upsetting it is that Doc did not play Isaiah Joe.
Yeah.
And then Daryl just let him go for nothing.
Yeah.
That sucked. That should not have been the case. It was obvious then. And I think that is the bed you make when the bed you lie in once you hire Doc Rivers. Really, 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 really rough. And I read a whole article in The Athletic about Jaden Springer, from the Celtics perspective about Jaden Springer. Made me nervous.
Not worried.
Made me nervous. Just like, I'm blaming all of it on Doc. It shouldn't have happened. Look, you can't draft anybody if you have Doc as your head coach, even if he's like a 5th-year senior. He's not going to play him. Maxey had to force his way in there, be the best guard of all time to earn minutes on a Doc team. But it's frustrating mismanagement of players with skill and that are going to succeed elsewhere.
Before we get to some final thoughts on the trade deadline and a potential banning, which I have not discussed with you, but I'll have to play the audio. We got, we do relationship advice occasionally. I feel like this is one of the stronger emails we got. I was reminded on Twitter of somebody who said, do you remember the person who had an affair with his fiance's father?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Was that during COVID? That might have been the dark times.
Might have been. So here we go. Relationship advice. Of course, it doesn't fucking work. Oh, there it is. Oh, let's try it again, Eliza. There we go.
I keep my heart under my pillow with my teeth and other lies. I've been waiting on your halo just to shine the light.
Relationship advice theme comes from the Ricky's own Eliza Hardy-Jones.
Just to shine.
Now is claimed by War on Drugs, but we know she is of the Ricky. Relationship advice. This comes from Anonymous. Hey guys, I'm debating a relationship problem. I was hoping to get some feedback from you both. I'll try to keep it as brief as possible, but there's some important backstory that needs to be said. The long story short is that I'm considering asking out an ex of one of my best friends, and I'm concerned how he will react. They dated back in 2018, 2019 for a bit over a year. At the time, he was living with me and another friend. The girl always got along with our group well, though everyone in our friend group thought that they were an odd fit. A good comp for him would be Seth Rogen, a great guy who always commands the room and would do anything for his buds, but also has a tendency to make a scene and go a bit overboard at times. She is more reserved and has a more mature personality. The relationship was already shaky, but came to an end when he landed his dream job about an hour away and told her he was moving. About a week later, she ended things. After that, I hadn't talked to her for several years. A couple months ago, she responded to an Instagram story I posted, and we exchanged a few messages catching up. Since then, she likes almost all of my posts and frequently responds to my stories. There are definitely some flirty vibes coming from her, which I welcome because I do like her. We have a lot in common. She checks a lot of the boxes I would want in a girl, most notably a girlfriend of one of your friends. I'm worried about my friend, though. He still lives an hour away. He has had several girlfriends since this relationship, but he is the type to have some old school bro code opinions about dating exes. Every time me or another friend gets out of a relationship, he will say something about cutting the ex out or unfriending them on social media. I think this mentality is outdated, but I want to respect his feelings. What should I do here? Ask her to meet up and see if this is really something, run the whole thing past my friend and see what he thinks, do nothing and just avoid any potential backlash. Love the pod. P.S. Are we allowed to judge the roster now?
So, I think we can judge the roster.
Yeah, I think it's
finally it's not September anymore.
Yep.
My opinion would be it's been long enough, and I think you can ask your friend in a respectful manner, would he mind if you asked her out?
Yeah, I think you did.
It's 5 years ago at this point.
Yep. And we don't know all of the information, of course. There is a lot of setting us up to give you the answer that you want in this email.
Sure.
They never really liked each other anyway. See,
I would do that.
Yeah, I don't even know how they were dating. They're so different. It's amazing. They did each other a favor by breaking up. So I tend to agree, but I also think if you're going to ask, you have to be bro code aside, because I don't think this is a bro code issue. I actually think it would work in the other way. I think that a woman would have the same sort of like potential concern the other way around. I don't think it's bro code stuff. I think you should consider his feelings, and the thing that should be on your mind is that if I were him and I were sensitive about this, the first thing that would jump to in my head is that something was going on while they were dating several years ago, while you're all living together and you all got along, and you want to be conscious of that. So I would agree with Mike, but I do think if he says that would really bother me, I think you have to sort of accept
that's
that
tough,
answer.
because I would do it and be like, well, I'm doing it the right way. So I'm coming to you, hat in hand.
Yeah.
Here you go. Good opportunity for you to say
Yes.
yes. And if you say no, then I would probably say, well, I'm doing it anyway.
Yes.
So that's kind of tough. That's
Yeah.
kind of a tough thing to, if you're asking.
He did describe him as one of his best friends, though. I think
Yeah.
so.
Maybe it's a ask, let him have it, and then maybe talk about it again. Maybe you have some time to think about it. If he says no, be like, maybe think about it let's talk in a week.
Well, you know what you do? Maybe you set it up for, hey, you don't need to give me an answer right now.
Yeah,
let
you
him
can
think
do that.
about it.
Think about it. Also, she might not even be into it, so like it could be nothing. But I wanted to be a good friend and come to you first. This is a lot of this current season of Southern Charm, which just ended, which is a Bravo show that I watched, which is great and a very fucked up show. There's a lot of like dating exes of friends and lying about it and stuff. So you got to do what's right. You come to him, and if he handles it weird, then plan B is
Ask him again.
do it anyway. The old do it anyway. Classic.
This is a perfect segue into LL Pavorsky Jewelers.
Yes.
Look, if you end up marrying this girl and your friend never talks to you again, I don't know, so be it. No, I'm just kidding. Absolutely. But if you were to get an engagement ring after your friend not talking to you again after dating his ex, you would get that engagement ring from LL Pavorsky Jewelers, who is closing in on 400 Rights to Ricky Sanchez listeners who have purchased engagement rings from LL. An amazing number.
Once we get to 500, like something should happen.
What is it?
I don't know what, but something.
Something should happen. Now, I did officiate a wedding for one LL Pavorsky couple. I remember the 100th was actually the son of the person that I bought my engagement ring from. This was pre-LL, by the way. It's crazy. We should do something special for 500. Well, think about it. LL, maybe you'll have an idea. The reason he has sold so many is, first of all, what an effective podcast. What an effective way to advertise on the Ricky. But second of all, LL just treats everyone awesome. Everyone just feels so, you develop like this relationship with him because he takes such good care of you. And then for the rest of your relationship, the rest of your life, you have a jeweler. You get your engagement ring from LL, but then moving forward for anniversaries, for birthdays, for I fucked up and I need to do something about it, you go to LL. He takes great care of you. It is not just people who spend tons of money, anything from $1,000 to $100,000 on an engagement ring. He just wants to make sure that you don't feel pressured, that you know that you're getting the best possible product, that you know you're getting the best possible price, and you're treated with respect, and you get all of that at LL. And I don't think that you can have such a comfortable, good experience at any other jeweler in the world. The other places you walk in and the salespeople are on you like a fucking hawk, not LL. In fact, it's not no walk-ins. Everybody's got to make an appointment, and he does that so he can make sure he takes the right amount of time for you and has all the information he needs. 215-627-2252 is his phone number. If you'd like, you can just send him an email, lee@llpavorsky.com, or you can tweet at him at llpavorsky. Lee is a generous supporter and always has been of our charities, which are currently Providence Animal Center and Mama T's Community Fridge. LL Pavorsky Jewelers.
The Philadelphia Love Mural is about him.
What if it is?
What if it is?
What if it is? All right. So the trade deadline, we did our trade deadline pod on Thursday night. I just wanted to sort of, revisit that real quickly, because now the rumor at the time, which we talked about, was that they would sign what's his name, Kyle Lowry, but it has now happened, and the roster is pretty much set going into the playoffs. He did give an explanation of the Jaden Springer trade. I think not too much different than we spoke about when we talked about it, but I thought it gave an interesting line into his thinking. This is courtesy of Keith Pompey's ex. You want to be careful. You want to make sure that you don't hear any alarms during it to remind him of tragedies. But here is Daryl's response about the Jaden Springer trade.
Jaden was kind of a surprise move towards the end of the deadline. He's been one of your best perimeter defenders of late. What went into the calculus of that deal, and I guess why did you see that as something you had to do?
Yeah, that one's pretty straightforward in that, again, we're focused on winning the title. We had to look at what are the odds Jaden Springer, who I think has a great future, help our playoff rotation in the 1, 2 year, 3 year maybe horizon, and what are the odds the second round pick help us? And we thought the second round pick helped us more. And that's just the reality. It allows us to go get maybe a veteran at next year's deadline, things like that. And we like the net of Jaden, Pat, who's going to play less here, and 1 second round pick for the best player traded. We thought that was the right move. So yeah, we did it. It sucks. Like, Jaden's going to be really good, I think. I think his timetable is a little pushed out, though. Our evaluation, and if we're wrong, we're wrong, and then you guys can all write it. It's fine. Our evaluation was that his timetable to help a playoff team is farther out than what the second round pick could do for us.
Yeah, the fact that you made trades with the Celtics.
There you go. It's pretty straightforward. I think the pick is a 2024 pick, so I don't think it'll help you at next year's deadline. But that said, second round picks in general, I understand it. He doesn't have. We always bring up Isaiah Joe. He doesn't have a bad hit rate here of releasing guys and then them, proving us wrong. Matisse Thybulle has not. Charles Bassey has not. Isaiah Joe has.
Bassey's hurt. He'll be fine. He'll be a fine. It was fine. Bassey, I think is.
So I'm just curious what you thought as somebody who.
Yeah, the logic is reasonable. I think probably what he means is, he'll trade this summer. He'll trade the pick for a future second, or he'll package it together with something else, which is fine.
Second round picks, I think, more valuable now than they probably were 5 years ago. It seems like in general they're used more as currency. People are use first round picks less almost in trades and use second round picks more.
Yes, they're using first round picks less, certainly in non-star trades.
Yeah.
And usually it's a pile of second round picks for, more role player types, which is what they got for Buddy Hield. And again, like, Buddy Hield is a guy that the fact that they didn't have to trade a first round pick for him is a big win. Especially if they decide that he's a good fit here and they sign him to a reasonable contract this offseason. That's a huge win. Yeah, I mean, the logic is extremely sound that the 41st, whatever pick in the draft could be used more in a trade this summer than Jaden will help this roster in a playoff series. I would have preferred, and this is a big picture thing, right? Where they had better used their assets in the past so that they didn't feel like they had to, man, we're out of second round picks pretty much. Let's trade this guy who is helping our rotation now because of all these injuries that we have. Let's trade this guy for a second round pick so we can sort of restock that. And so that it's a little frustrating for me on that level. But if you're like, forget about the past, what do you do right now? I do see okay, he's probably not going to help them in the playoffs. Probably. But I wouldn't have minded a 5-minute spurt where you're playing, whether it's Trae Young or somebody in the first round or whatever, and you go hey, just go do everything. just like play your ass off, be a maniac, and steal us a bunch of possessions and frustrate this guy, whatever. I think the value of that is pretty high, especially on a team where you're going like, we want to win a championship this year. Jaden Springer could swing a game for you, even though the offense is still very far away. He could swing a game for you in a moment here and there when, if you have like, say you go small, and you have a bunch of shooters around, and he's the only non-shooter out there, and you're going small, and he's setting screens for Maxey or something like that, and he's rolling and being short. Like there were things that could have happened in the playoffs that could have presented themselves in a Nick Nurse offense, Nick Nurse system, that could have been like, man, it would be helpful to have Springer here. So it's a little bit unfortunate to go like, hey, we're trying to win now, and we traded a guy who could help for a pick that we will not use for this season. So that is a little bit irritating to me, and I think the Doc Rivers of it all, of drafting Springer and thinking that his value is gonna increase even though Doc's never gonna play him, I think is a little bit of a disjointedness from the front office and the coaching staff. But also, yeah, I think in the future there's a chance that Jaden didn't help at all this season, and there's a chance that they did sell him at the height of his value for a pick. I just don't love it.
So now that we see, people said to me when I said it didn't bother me that, well, you could just trade him next year for a pick, but that's on, like, you're taking a risk every day. Next year's the last year of his deal. Yeah. So if he comes back next year and he looks the same, then his value might not be anything at all. He's, a prospect on an expiring that hasn't gotten better in 4 years. So I do agree that right now was the top of whatever his value was going to be. It may have been higher a year ago, but it wasn't going to get it was unlikely that it would get higher from here. How do you feel, let's say fully healthy, how do you feel about this roster going into the playoffs, post-trade deadline, all circumstances going?
I mean, that's the question, is fully healthy. Like, I really love this top 10 right now. Because the starting lineup, let's say you just keep the starting lineup as it has been early in the season, which is Maxey, Melton, Batum, Harris, Embiid, which has been one of the best starting lineups in basketball statistically. And then on the bench, Lowry, Hield, Oubre, Covington, B-Ball, Paul. Like, that's really good. That is a balanced, sensical combination of defense and shooting and ball handling. And then all around Embiid, obviously, is the thing that's going to carry everything. But if everybody is healthy 2 months from now, and that's your top 10, I'm feeling really good going into the playoffs, regardless of what seed they are. So obviously would prefer for them to be like a 6 rather than a 7, and then they can avoid Boston until the conference finals. But I think that's a really, really good team, and with the occasional like, oh, Mo Bamba is hitting threes or something, and B-Ball Paul's not in there, or KJ Martin's physicality, or Ricky Council's like energy or something like that. You could throw some guys out there. I always thought, and we talked about this before, but like we've talked about the consolidation trade that I wanted for a long time, and they kind of eventually got there, and now it's like this is the 10. You're not dying to play Campaign or KJ Martin or Mo Bamba, but like if these 10 are healthy, then you feel about as good as almost anybody else in the East, providing that Joel is doing what Joel does, because he's the every part of the engine.
Yeah, I think as we talked about on the last pod, when you see how the trade deadline worked out at the trade deadline, it's hard to argue that there was anything else you would have rather he do. It really comes down to, would you rather have Bojan Bogdanovic than Buddy Hield or something like that? And then I think the other one that we'll sort of wonder about after we see how the offseason plays out is that I remember MOC was very pro, and I think we were sort of wishy-washy. And I don't even know if they could have made the trade happen anyway, because they don't really have effective young players to trade. But the trade that I think we will end up worrying about will be the Anunoby trade. Yeah. And he is a free agent. I don't expect him to leave New York. I don't think they trade for him and then let him go. Yeah.
Anunoby and Siakam are the guys that got moved before the trade deadline, and the Sixers didn't participate in either of those. And I mean, the Knicks look great. Like, they have been really, really good. They're now better than us on the season.
They have health problems too.
Those guys are banged up also because
Yeah.
Tibbs is going to play them, 48 minutes a night. But that would be if they meet in the 4-5 or something like that, that would be a really difficult matchup. This is just a really good team. And it seems like, with the exception of Milwaukee, who hired Doc Rivers, everybody in the East seems to be getting smarter. And so whether that's Boston is always really well run in a very frustrating way. The Knicks now, Cleveland has, after being banged up to the point of like maybe they tank this season, have won so many games in a row, and we face them coming up, and they look really good as well. And then the Knicks, and then the Pacers are obviously excellent. Halliburton's incredible. It is a little weird that we didn't talk about this angle, but a little weird that the Pacers traded Buddy.
It is. Now, they do have young guards behind him, but like...
Yeah, Aaron Nesmith and Andrew Nembhard, and obviously Halliburton, and so maybe they wanted a little bit more defense, which those guys provide more than Buddy, but they're trying to make a playoff run this year. They're a really good team. I think the Buddy might be the kind of guy that gets antsy everywhere, and then also the coaches get antsy about him maybe. So we'll see how much trust Nick Nurse has in him, or how frustrated Nick Nurse gets for what Buddy gives you. But I think it's something to note that even though he's expiring and they did get something for him, like they're also a good basketball team that could win a first round series this year.
Could use him,
Yeah.
Yeah. So before we go, I would like to talk about a potential.
I also have a nephew update.
Okay. So first we'll do the potential banning. I'll play you the audio, Mike. I've always felt like Shield Kapadia, currently of the Ringer, is a friend of the pod. He's always been a friend of mine. I remember Shield from the very, very beginning days writing for Philly.com as I think he went from an editor to writing, and now he's like big fucking star. I know Shield is a listener, so he will probably hear this. Like Shield, think he gives great analysis, but he didn't say the name, Mike. And he was on the Ringer's Philly special, and I would like to play for you the clip and talk about a potential banning of Mr. Kapadia.
Okay, tomorrow night, we'll see who's playing there, but Sixers make a flurry of trades, 4 trades total. We'll get into all of them. Shout out to Mike O'Connor, who just did the here's who's out, here's who's in. So let me start with that clip, okay? By the way, that's Ace Brucer, Cliff Augustine. You know who he is. I don't need to...
So mentions Mike O'Connor's article, does not mention who Mike O'Connor works for. Now, Shield obviously worked with, or maybe not obviously, Shield did work with Mike O'Connor at The Athletic before he stepped up and started writing for the Ricky. Mike, is this ban-worthy? Is it warning-worthy? He did say Mike's name, but he didn't say our name.
Well, I want to bring up also, in a similar vein, maybe a month ago, there was an Athletic podcast.
Okay.
Or was it? Or maybe it was I'm forgetting where he writes for now. Now it's maybe it's Fly. Where Zach Berman
is Fly.
He's Fly. Brought up the Execs Fantasy Basketball League and alluded to me and him being in trade negotiations, and Zach, someone sent this to me, and Zach ghosting me in hopes that I would lower my offer. And that's a little of trade tactics. So
wow, and he mentioned that on their...
He mentioned on the podcast. He didn't say me. He said he's on another popular podcast, which I won't mention.
Oh.
And he thought I wouldn't hear it, but I heard it, Zach. I fucking heard it. And
we have people everywhere.
People send us stuff, and
Yeah.
we are noticing, and we are adjusting our fantasy basketball strategy because of it.
Podcast that you won't mention. It would help you. You should mention us.
Yeah, I don't know. I think because he said Mike MOC's name, I think it's okay. I think it's okay. I think it's safe.
I'm going to put him on probation.
Okay, that's fair.
And you get on probation twice, you get banned. I think it would have been very easy to say Mike O'Connor of the Ricky if we didn't have the previous relationship. It's certainly possible. You could have seen it on the internet and not thought about it, but I think we need to say Mike O'Connor of the Ricky. Speaking of Mike O'Connor, if you would like to get all of Mike O'Connor's writing emailed directly to you upon publish, go to rightstoRickySanchez.com and click subscribe. It is free. A cousin update. Now,
Nephew.
Nephew, right? If we remember correctly, your nephew is going to Gwynedd Mercy University. Right?
No, the update he's a baseball player from Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay.
He's my sister's kid. And he got into a number of schools, and he was going for a scholarship or D3 does not award sports
Athletic
scholarships.
Yeah.
But was trying to get a little financial aid scholarship to help him, all that stuff. And so there was a potential he could have gone to the school in Arizona. He could have gone to the school in Nebraska and played baseball at those places, but he really wanted to go to Gwynedd Mercy. And the update is he has decided, while they're still waiting for a couple other scholarships, which people emailed us about noticing some higher ups with the promise of Braden's wonderful uncle speaking at whatever sports management school.
We had too many people respond to this with offers to help.
I love it, and I appreciate it, and thank you so much. Braden is going to Gwynedd Mercy.
Wow.
And to save money, and playing on the baseball team, the coach is very excited. And to save money, he is living at my parents' house for his freshman year. My nephew living with his grandparents. And my sister also lives really close to Gwynedd, might crash at her place a couple times when needed. But that's the solution, is to save money. He's living at my parents' house. So very exciting there. Very excited for Braden and the Gwynedd Mercy Griffins baseball team. We will see how this goes, and if once he starts playing, maybe a Ricky outing to a Gwynedd baseball game. Go Griffins!
Yeah. Well, congratulations, Braden. I'm sorry we couldn't get you enough money by begging for it on the podcast.
I can't believe it didn't work.
Well, maybe toward the end of his career, we will start asking for major league teams to draft him.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
So congratulations, Braden. And I'm sure your parents, love having him live there, right? I mean,
my dad couldn't be more excited.
Right. Yeah.
My dad is going to essentially change his whole life to just be there for all. I think my dad's going to be going to the gym with my nephew at 11 at night, just being like, "What's that? Yeah, we can do whatever you need, man." It's gonna be
throwing
him. He's so pumped.
Throwing him now. What position does Braden play?
In high school, he plays shortstop and he pitches. But my dad will be the double play partner for Braden. For sure.
I was gonna say he's gonna hit him some ground balls. Yeah. Play a little pepper with Braden.
Absolutely, all of it, whatever. My mom asked my dad if he was still gonna hang out with her. It's fun.
Great.
It's gonna be good.
Congratulations, everyone.
The official East Coast school of the podcast, Gwynedd Mercy.
We will talk to you. Everyone have a happy Valentine's Day. We will talk to you the night after Valentine's Day, as we will fully be in the All-Star break. So we've survived another first half of the season, just barely, as usual.
Just barely.
We will talk to you next time. Are you done with TTP?
Yeah, lick face.